full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus.
Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners now and at the hour of our death. Amen.
Behold the handmaid of the Lord.
Be it done to me according to your word.
Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus.
Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners now and at the hour of our death. Amen.
And the Word was made flesh,
And dwelt amongst us.
Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus.
Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners now and at the hour of our death. Amen.
Pray for us, O Holy Mother of God.
That we may be made worthy of the promises of Christ. Pour forth, we beseech you, O Lord, your grace into our hearts, that we, to whom the incarnation of Christ, your Son, was made known by the message of an angel, may by his passion and cross be brought to the glory of his resurrection, through the same Christ our Lord. Amen.
Kini ang simbianan sa RPN, Radio Philippines Network, DXKS. DXKS. 1080. Ang inyong Radio Ronda. 5,000 watts. Nagsimbiya sa ikatulong andana sa UFCO Lim Building, Borromeo Street, Dakbayan sa Surigao. RPN, Radio Philippines Network. DXKS 1080, ang inyong Radio Ronda.
Respect and appreciation, much like wearing a mask.
Bawal muna ang pakikipag-usap sa loob ng mga tren ng MRT. Some residents are back on the streets of Sampaloc, Manila after the 48-hour lockdown. Pagtaas ng mga kaso ng COVID-19 dito sa bansa. Naglagay na ng mga improvised barriers para sa mga nagbibisikleta. Typhoon Ulysses, a super typhoon. Christine Matulak, CNN Philippines.
This is Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines. I'm Tia Ontiveros. Tonight on the program, counting down to Election Day, some presidential candidates brush off influential endorsements and continue barnstorming vote-rich areas, while government agencies deploy thousands of personnel for the May 9 polls. After over a year of deferring because of the COVID-19 pandemic, government health insurer PhilHealth says it will raise contributions beginning next month. And an exciting day for hoops fans. Klay Thompson breaks another record in the NBA, while here at home, the De La Salle Green Archers live to fight another day in the UAAP Final Four opening. 5 days before voting day, other presidential candidates are unfazed by the Iglesia ni Cristo's endorsement of the Bongbong Marcos-Sara Duterte tandem. Vice President Leni Robredo's spokesperson says they are not overly concerned with the endorsement of the religious group. The INC is known to practice block voting among its millions of members. Barry Gutierrez notes Robredo and running mate Kiko Pangilinan already earned the endorsement of other religious groups, including some members of the Catholic clergy.
Well, in 2016, the same thing happened. They did not endorse VP Lenny, and she still won the election. So it's something that it has happened before. We are actually used to being in this position, and it's not something that we're overly concerned with. We respect their decision. It's their choice.
In a statement, Senator Manny Pacquiao says he respects the decision of the group, noting that everyone has the right to decide on their preferred candidates. Senator Ping Lacson earlier saying that even if he does not secure INC support, an endorsement from the group does not guarantee automatic victory. No direct comment yet from Manila Mayor Isko Moreno on INC's endorsement of his rival, but his team believes the silent majority will pull off a big surprise on May 9th and give Moreno a come-from-behind victory. On the second day of the COMELEC and the kapisanan ng mga broadcaster ng Pilipinas Forum, the Kamalayang Kayumanggi Party's Bets, Faisal Mangundato and Carlos Serapio, as well as Partido Reforma Vice Presidential candidate Tito Soto, answered questions about the pandemic and e-sabong operations, among other things. Chrissy Di Matulak has the highlights.
Instead of helping curb the spread of COVID-19, the lockdowns did more harm than good. This was the opinion of the tandem of presidential candidate Faisal Mangundato and running mate Carlos Serapio. Regarding the government's response to the pandemic, one of the issues discussed during the second round of the Pilipinas 2022 Forum.
Nawala ng kalayaan yung ating mga kababayan dahil sa mga lockdown na parang tingin ko hindi na tungkol sa health kundi tungkol sa parang martial law.
According to Serapio, regional lockdowns were an overkill because only certain areas had high infection rates.
Ituturing ko man na parang overkill yung naging response ay nag-lockdown kagad tayo, whereas we could have actually applied yung ginagawa ngayon na granularized.
Serapio added that there was an evident divide among healthcare experts who made conflicting statements on the virus on which we had limited information early on. The tandem also recognized the positive developments during the height of the pandemic. They lauded local government units which took the initiative and built their own testing centers and healthcare facilities. As the lone Muslim presidential candidate, Mangundato remains firm on his push for a federal form of government to give more autonomy to local governments. Partido Reforma Vice Presidential candidate Tito Soto took the stage solo during Wednesday's forum. With just 5 days away from the elections, he urged the public not to be easily swayed by surveys. Soto and Senator Francis Pangilinan lagged behind in the latest Pulse Asia survey for vice presidential bets.
Independent surveys says that I have very good figures. I have very good stats. So, siguro baka yung iba nadideceive nun. Nagkakaroon ng mind conditioning na tinatawag.
Soto is in favor of offering COVID-19 vaccines in schools, but says it should not be made mandatory. While both Serapio and Soto agreed to completely end e-sabong operations.
Ang e-sabong parang pigsa ng lipunan yan. Ang weteng pigsa ng lipunan din yan. Yung lahat ng mga suliranin na yan ay dahil nga dito sa umiiral nating kalagayan sa ngayon.
Soto is confident that the lost revenues from e-sabong operations can be sourced from other funds, such as the unused 328 billion pesos from the General Appropriations Act.
It will boil down and it will boil down to the upliftment of the poor in the country. Tamang gamit lang noong 328 billion na yun. Wala pa dun yung corruption. Matindi pa rin sa corruption. And definitely it will be a better, it will be a good use. Yung 328 billion, unused pa lang yun. Yung abuse pa.
Soto assured that if he wins the vice presidency, he will not be a thorn on the side of the next president. In fact, he is confident the next president will like the programs he'd be proposing. Chrissy Di Matulak, CNN Philippines.
Catch Vice Presidential candidate Manny Lopez at the COMELEC KBP Forum tomorrow at 10 a.m. and presidential hopeful Ernesto Abella 11 a.m. here on CNN Philippines. The military and police sending more troops to the countryside to make sure the May 9 polls will be safe and peaceful. The COMELEC placed under its control 2 more areas over threats of violence on Election Day. Stanley Gaheta reports.
To safeguard the polls, top officials sent off more than 40,200 police personnel across the regions, with more than 1,200 more on standby in Krame just in case. The Armed Forces of the Philippines, meanwhile, has 154,000 troops that will monitor hotspots and main checkpoints. The Philippine Coast Guard deployed 22,500 of its personnel. PNP Chief Leonardo Carlos and AFP Chief of Staff General Andres Centino said they have enough forces for any eventuality.
Our checkpoints have resulted to some arrests of possessions of illegal firearms. And these are the things that will continue even after the last day of the campaign.
We're maximizing presence of the police in all these polling centers and polling precincts.
There were no reported hitches so far regarding election preparations, especially during the sealing and final testing of vote counting machines. Meanwhile, the Parish Pastoral Council for Responsible Voting, or PPCRV, and the National Citizens Movement for Free Elections, or NAMFREL, accredited citizens' arms of the COMELEC, are ready for election duty.
Our job is really to sort of tell the public that the returns are coming in, that the technology is doing its job.
We choose about 750 precincts nationwide, and we do a manual count and then compare that with the official count of COMELEC.
Manila Police District personnel also participated in the showdown inspection at the Quirino Grandstand, vowing to respond quickly to any untoward incident on Monday.
Handang-handa na po kami, ready na yung mga tao natin, nasabihan na sila ng mga guidelines.
Meanwhile, the COMELEC placed under its control the whole province of Misamis Occidental and the town of Pilar in Abra due to the involvement of some police officers in partisan. Also reported threats to some candidates to voters and recorded violence.
Just recently, I received confidential reports disclosing the apparent bias ng local police detachment sa Pilar Abra, and also yung mga trades.
Despite these threats, the COMELEC assures a safe, accurate, free, and fair elections. Stanley Gaete, CNN Philippines.
Members of government health insurer PhilHealth are bracing for higher contributions beginning next month. Senior correspondent Lois Calderon reports the increase marks the end of a 1.5-year reprieve the agency granted because of COVID-19.
The news that PhilHealth will collect higher contributions from members beginning June is upsetting, especially as fuel and food rise to record highs.
Masyado na mataas yung pagdagdag ng PhilHealth.
The hike in contributions will mean members will see a higher cut in their payroll, while employers will have to pitch in too. The premium contribution rate is now 4% of salary, with the employer shouldering half of it. A worker earning 10,000 pesos, for instance, will have to shell out 200 pesos, and the employer another 200 pesos, for a total of 400 pesos. The premium contribution could go as high as 4,800 pesos a month for those earning 80,000 pesos per month. Before the hike, the contribution rate was just 3%. PhilHealth officials say the increase was mandated by the Universal Healthcare Law that aims to cover even the poorest Filipinos.
We have now to go back to implementing the law and impose the adjustments of 2022 in the adjustments in the premium as verified or as stated in the law.
The law provides an annual 0.5 percentage point hike in contributions. But last year, Malacanang and Congress had asked the agency to temporarily shelve its implementation. As the government contains a raging pandemic back then, the PhilHealth chief agreed in January 2021 to defer the hikes until Congress writes amendments to the Universal Healthcare Act. But the bills proposing to amend that legislation did not progress. And now, PhilHealth announces the hike just a week before the presidential elections. PhilHealth says the 4% is retroactive, such that it could have been collected from January this year. Since the hike was just announced and will be rolled out only by June, the agency orders employers and members to settle the difference by December 31st.
There might still be some clarifications or directives from other agencies on this. But as of now, we are implementing.
For workers, it could be difficult to contribute more. Criticisms from Congress and other quarters were hurled against PhilHealth, with allegations ranging from corruption, fund misuse, and failure to pay private hospitals' COVID-19 claims on time. PhilHealth officials say the agency has settled about 14 billion pesos in COVID-19 claims.
Simula po nung nagka-pandemic, hindi ko po napakinabangan. Yung naihulog ko po sa PhilHealth.
But the consensus is that workers need health insurance. Lois Calderon, CNN, Philippines.
Straight ahead, find out what to do if you're showing COVID-19 symptoms on Election Day but still want to vote, while candidates get closer to the campaign finish line, with two presidential hopefuls making their presence felt in vote-rich Cebu. Details right here on Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines.
What makes a nation grow? Every day we see them. The providers, the traders, the movers, the doers, and the go-getters. Each play their part, whether big or small, in creating a better life for all. Whichever your role may be, we're right here for you. We are Land Bank, and we are here to make this nation grow.
Kamusta kayo? Kaya pa ba? Pasensya na, toxic, no? Pula, dilaw, kung ano nung kulay. Pero alam ba nila na ang problema mo? Murang bilihin, pabahay, trabaho, kuryente, tubig, ang dami. Kung gulong-gulo ka na at hanap mo yung peace of mind, halika, magbubon tayo. Maiba naman. Sama-sama tayo sa May 9. Walang higantihan, walang awayan. Hindi kita iiwan. Isko Moreno po sa pagkapangulo.
LG OLED Evo. Experience the realism of self-lighting in every pixel. Delivers deep black and true-to-life colors. See the details more clearly. Light up your world with the best TV technology in this era. LG OLED Evo.
This is Newsnight on CNN Philippines. This year's elections is the first in the country's history to be held under the shadow of a pandemic. What happens to voters who show COVID-19 symptoms on May 9? Melissa Lopez walks us through the process.
Voters showing symptoms of COVID-19, such as fever, cough, or cold, will not be turned away even if they show up to their assigned school on May 9. Masks are a must, and all must go through a temperature scan.
If your body temperature is at 37.5 degrees at the gate, you will be taken to the isolation polling place. You'll be given time to rest, and your body temperature will be taken again.
COMELEC officials acknowledge that the weather could be a factor. If their temperature drops, the voter can go to his or her original precinct. But if not, the voter remains at the IPP. They will be asked to sign a waiver saying they allow a COMELEC representative to pick up their ballot from their original precinct and bring it to the IPP. The same COMELEC rep will also feed the ballot to the vote counting machine later that day, which the symptomatic voter won't be able to see. At the Araulio High School, a health worker from the Manila Health Department will assist the Special Electoral Board.
Kung sakasakali talaga magkakaroon ng sintomas, yun po yung DOH saka LGU na po yung bahala.
If the symptoms progress, health officials may refer the voter for COVID-19 testing or quarantine after voting. Nurse Concepcion Yusop has been with the local health department for nearly 40 years, but it's her first time to serve in the polls.
At least masaya kasi katulad ko, to retire na ako, so first time natutulong ako sa eleksyon kasi nga, at least ngayon, makikita mo yung yung na bawat isa pala ay may magandang role na pwedeng itulong.
The poll body will finalize on Thursday protocols on COVID-19 control.
Plano rin kasi ng ating Committee on New Normal na magtayo ng tinatawag na medical assistance desk. So maliban doon sa tinatawag nating voters assistance desk.
Comelec stresses voters who are confirmed to be COVID-19 positive and staying in hospital or isolation wards on May 9 cannot cast a vote. Melissa Lopez, CNN Philippines.
The 2022 campaign is nearing the finish line with just 5 days to go until the Filipino votes. Senator Manny Pacquiao and Manila Mayor Isko Moreno are both in the city of Cebu today. Pacquiao is in Cebu for a 3-day visit, while Moreno is there for his concert rally tonight. The boxer turned politician, Pacquiao, shrugging off the idea of a showdown with the Manila Mayor.
Wala ko nag-schedule dire sa Cebu. Dili mo sila mag-schedule dire sa Cebu. Insecure lang sila dahil ako lang ang Bisaya. Mag-isip sila na masusulit ko yung Bisaya sa Mindanao. Yan ang totoo. Na alam ko na sa puso ng mga Bisaya ay susuporta sa kapwa Bisaya dahil sino ba naman magtutulungan ang kapwa Bisaya? No? Kung sinasabi nilang may solid North, may solid naman Bisaya sa Mindanao ng mga Bisaya.
More groups in Mindanao come out to support Vice President Leni Robredo and running mate Kiko Pangilinan. These include the Revolucionaryong Alyansang Makabayan Region 10, which used to back Bongbong Marcos, the Mindanao-based First Community Cooperative, which has 380,000 members, and the Mindanao Women Council with 25,000 members. Senator Ping Lacson held town hall meetings in Dumaguete and Bais in the province of Negros Oriental. He questioned why his support from the Visayas and Mindanao was zero in the latest Pulse Asia survey.
Now I'm going to ask the people of Bais City. Wala po bang boboto kay Senator Lacson sa Bais City? Ilan po ang bobotos kay Senator Lacson sa Bais City? Maraming salamat po. Ngayon, masaya na po ako. Hindi ako masisiro sa buong Visayas.
Bongbong Marcos is bound for Tagum City in Davao del Norte tomorrow for his meeting the Avance Mindanao. In a video released last night, he urged Filipinos to protect their votes as he again insisted he lost the 2016 vice presidential race because of cheating. His claim comes even if the Supreme Court junked his electoral protest against Robredo for lack of merit last year.
Sa darating na Mayo 9 ay kailangan din po tayo maging mapagbantay sa ating mga boto. Protektahan po natin ang ating naging desisyon at wag po nating hayaang ito'y muling nakawin sa atin. Talikuran na natin ang hindi pagkakaunawaan at ang pagkakahati-hati at tangkilikin na natin ang mapagkaisang leader na maghahatid sa atin ng mas maunlad na bukas.
Two leading candidates for the highest post in Quezon City are also ramping up campaign efforts as Election Day draws near. Tristan Odalo has the latest on the mayoralty race in Metro Manila's biggest city.
The battle for Quezon City intensifies with Quezon City Mayor Joy Belmonte and Congressman Mike Defensor trying to cover the most ground in the vote-rich city. The two rivals kick off their activities on Tuesday by going house to house in different Quezon City districts. Belmonte went around District 1 to meet with her supporters. She capped her sortie with a rally alongside Roosevelt Avenue. Belmonte highlighted the city's milestones amid the COVID-19 pandemic and vowed to do better if elected for a second term.
Tunay silang naniniwala sa aming mga pinaglalaban at aming advokasya. Doon una ko experience ng maduming politika. Medyo nakakasakit. Pero ngayon, sobrang zero ang aking nararamdaman. Hindi ako apektado. Wala. In fact, mas nagiging ganado pa ako mangampanya at patunayan ang aking mga nagawa. Pag ako ay sinisiraan.
Meanwhile, Defensor visited the city's 5th and 2nd districts. Defensor also had a dialogue with sectoral groups. The lawmaker took a swipe at his rival, accusing Belmonte of being slow in responding to people's concerns.
Sa atin, ginalis na ang mga taga Quezon City, sardinas, araw-araw ang binibigay. Ang ating pangarap sa isang maayos na syudad na yung pondo maramdaman ng tao, itulong sa tao, kasama ang pautang na gagawin natin, 20,000 walang interes. Kayong lahat, papautangin natin para kayo magkahanap buhay at may taguyod ang inyong pamilya.
Defensor is backed by Bongbong Marcos and Sara Duterte's unit team, while Belmonte is running under independent local party Servicio sa Bayan or SBP. The two have been trading barbs since the start of the campaign period, with Belmonte slamming Defensor's decision to deny ABS-CBN a new franchise that led to the loss of thousands of jobs. Quezon City is home to over 1.4 million voters, making the city a crucial battleground not only in the local but also in the national political scene. Tristan Odalo, CNN Philippines.
Here are other stories making headlines. Authorities have found the bodies of 5 children who drowned near Taal Lake in Batangas. Philippine Coast Guard says the children, ages 7 to 12, were reported missing at around 12 noon on Tuesday. 2 bodies were recovered yesterday afternoon and the remaining 3 this morning. The children were from Barangay Santo Toribio in Lipa City. Former Justice Secretary Vitaliano Aguirre speaks up after a key witness in one of Senator Laila de Lima's drug cases accused him of coercion in executing false affidavits. Aguirre said that former Corrections Bureau Chief Rafael Ragos voluntarily testified under oath that he personally delivered drug money from the New Bilibid prison to de Lima's residence in 2012. He added that Ragos stood by his allegations against the detained lawmaker before a Muntinlupa court in 2019. Aguirre is questioning the timing and motive behind Ragos' recantation, with only a few days left before May 9. De Lima is seeking re-election under the Robredo Pangilinan slate. 2 executives of controversial pandemic supplier Pharmally Pharmaceutical appealed to Senate President Tito Soto to release them from the Pasay City Jail. Mohit Dargani and Lincoln Ong insisted there were no cases filed against them. They again accused Blue Ribbon Committee Chair Senator Richard Gordon of politicking. Soto says he has not read the letter but notes his role as Senate President is only ministerial when a committee has approved a motion. Coming up, Klay Thompson breaking one record after another in the NBA, and back here at home in collegiate basketball, the UAAP Final Four tips off. Stay tuned to CNN Philippines.
Exodus 18:21. But you choose from the people capable men, God-fearing men, men of truth, those who hate bribes, and put them over the people as rulers of thousands, rulers of hundreds, rulers of 50s, and rulers of 10s.
Ang mabuting balita ay hatid sa inyo ng MX3.
Seguridad ang pundasyon ng isang progresibong bansa. Ito'y nasimulan noon at ngayon ating itutuloy sa Senado. Katahimikan laban sa anumang banta at mabilisang serbisyo para sa mga tao. Ito ang susi ng pag-asenso upang ang mga negosyo lumago at bawat Pilipino'y magkatrabaho. Yan ang paglalabang ko. Ibo Chodoro sa Senado.
Welcome back. Sports news now. There's no stopping Klay Thompson breaking one record after another in the NBA. The Golden State Warriors shooting guard is now one of just 3 players in the league to make 400 three-pointers in the postseason. Last month, Klay reached 3rd on the list of all-time playoff triples made, passing Ray Allen. But the record-breaking trays were not enough to defeat the Memphis Grizzlies. The Grizzlies took Game 2 of the West semifinals 117-116. tying the series. And back here at home in the UAAP, an interesting Final Four opening happened earlier with the De La Salle Green Archers forcing a do-or-die Game 2 against the UP Fighting Maroons. La Salle beat UP at the Mall of Asia Arena 83-80, but the Fighting Maroons' twice-to-beat edge keeps them alive, which leads to whoever wins the 2 p.m. match on Friday heads to the finals. Another Final Four match is underway with Ateneo getting closer to finals ticket. The Blue Eagles are leading against the FEU Tamaraos in the second quarter, 29-21. Head to our social media platforms for updates on this thrilling match. And that is it for now. Join me again on news.ph at 7 p.m. I'm Pio Ontiveros for Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines.
Panghihina ng katawan, pinalakas dahil sa pag-inom umaga't hapon ng mixed and herbal coffee.
Akong ginagamit mixed in box. Then tapos ang mixed in box may akong tulog, may sad akong ihi. Og daghan kaayo ang mga benepisyo sa isa ka mixed in box. Daghang salamat. Ako si Edna Manla, taga Mahanob, Higakit, Surigao del Norte. Ang akong edad 60 years old.
Pruweba sa mixed and herbal coffee. Ang atong kape, herbal ug natural. Walay coffee creamer.
Ang Mixed and Herbal Coffee mabibili sa Doc Alternativo Center sa Surigao City Branch, AY Tandan Building, Amat Corner, Sarveda Street, Surigao City. Sa Cantilan, Surigao del Sur Branch, 2nd floor, Iparagari Building, Orellana Street, Barangay Linintian, Cantilan, Surigao del Sur.
Ang mixed and herbal coffee mapalit na sa mga tindahan, butika ug supermarkets.
Kaibigang magsasaka, mula sa LG Life Sciences Korea, ipinakikilala ang Montana 250 Easy. Montana 250 Easy o difenoconazole ay makabagong systemic fungicide laban sa sheath blight at iba pang mga sakit ng palay na dala ng fungus. Montana 250 Easy, nanunood sa dahon at pinapasok ang lahat ng parte ng palay para sa mas mahabang proteksyon at lunas upang ito ay manatiling berde, ligtas sa sakit para sa mas masaganang ani. Sa 2 kutsara lamang sa bawat knapsack sprayer, ang difenoconazole na kinilalang most powerful systemic
ang katawan natin araw-araw bugbog sa trabaho. Kaya minsan, di natin maiiwasan ang aray. Pero ngayon, may mabisang panlaban na ang Pilipinas laban sa mga aray ng katawan. Calabo Plus Liniment Oil. May sangkap ng mga pinaghalong medicinal herbs. Calabo Plus Liniment Oil. All-in-one solution para sa muscle pain at maging ang skin itchiness. Kaya subukan na ang Calabo Plus Liniment Oil para goodbye aray. Hello, sarap! Calabo Plus Liniment Oil. Mabibili na sa inyong mga suking butika.
RPN Radio Philippines Network. Radyo Ronda DXKS Surigao. Member, kapisanan ng mga broadcaster ng Pilipinas.
Have you ever wondered why problems with your ears sometimes affect your nose, your throat, your eyes, and vice versa? And why your nose starts to run when you cry? Or why your food tastes bland when you have a cold? That's because all of these 4 organs are intricately connected. Together, these parts of your body help us experience the world through sight, smell, hearing, and taste. Now, losing one of these senses can have definite negative effects on our health as well as our well-being. That's why it's important that we take care of all of these vital organs. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez, and this is MedTalk Health Talk on CNN Philippines. Viruses and other germs can enter our eyes, ears, noses, and throat if we don't practice proper hygiene or safety. Our guests are here to talk about all of this and more. Let's welcome with us Dr. Glenn Angeles. He's an ophthalmologist at the Health Hub Clinic. Also joining us is Dr. Paolo Angelo Catindig, who is an ENT head and neck surgeon, rhinologist from the Bulacan Medical Center, as well as the Makati Medical Center. Pag-usapan natin ang ating mga mata. Is it very common ngayon na pandemic, gaano ka-risky ang ating mga mata when it comes to being infected with COVID-19?
So with regards to COVID-19 and the eyes, we've been seeing COVID positive patients on patients with sore eyes. For example, a patient consults us with sore eyes. Usually, we ask kung mayroon siyang ibang symptoms like cough, colds, fever. Then, if they usually have their test done, usually it comes out positive.
Dr. Glenn, ang notion ng marami is the COVID virus is in the air and dumadapo sa mata natin. Kaya tayo nag-face shield, kaya kailangan protektahan ng eyes. Is this more the case where the virus enters our eye through the air, or is it more of a contamination type of inoculation?
More on contamination type, more on contact, for example. Because for conjunctivitis, usually makatayan, diba? Itchy. When patients rub their eyes, usually what happens is they touch another object or they touch a table, then someone touches a table, then they rub their eyes. So yung mga nagfe-facial, technically it's helpful in a way because it avoids us from touching our eyes. Kumbaga, yung mga naka-glasses, okay sila because napoprotektahan sila.
Dr. Glenn, you also mentioned a very important one, ang sore eyes, conjunctivitis. Pag hindi naman COVID-19 ang cause ng conjunctivitis, how is this normally treated? A lot of Filipinos like to avail of the over-the-counter vasoconstrictors, yung mga eye drops para pampawala ng redness. Is this the right medication to use for sore eyes?
For sore eyes, usually the symptoms yan kumbaga, it's viral, so it's self-limiting. Usually it will resolve after 1 to 2 weeks. I ask my patient to do bed rest so they cannot go to work because nakakahawa talaga siya. So they can use supportive therapy like mga artificial tears para sa parang supportive management lang. They can put cold compress. Importante dyan is frequent hand washing and proper hygiene.
Now let's talk about corrective lenses versus contact lenses. Is one better than the other, Dr. Glenn?
Actually, it will really depend. No? For glasses, at least it's a protection. For contact lens, okay lang rin siya. Both are okay to correct your error of refraction.
Let's talk about the extra added care that people should be doing if ever they choose to use contact lenses, because this can also be a vehicle for a lot of germs, for a lot of viruses kapag hindi ito naalagaan. What's the proper contact lens care, Dr. Glenn?
So for contact lens care, definitely you need to remove it every day. You need to clean it. And with contact lens naman kasi, ang magiging concern lang dyan is how you clean it and how you properly store it. Kasi contact lens, may chance. Also, you need to keep on putting parang artificial tears to lubricate the contact lens, or else baka mag-dry and pagtanggal mo, magkaroon ng corneal abrasions or superficial punctate keratitis, magkasugat, then that's a cause of concern.
Okay. Let's talk about, since pandemic, maraming mga tao, Dr. Glenn, ang work from home. They're using their laptops, computers for numerous meetings and whatnot. And ang nangyayari dito, ang common is ang eye strain. And some studies are pointing that what adds to this eye strain is the blue light emitted by a lot of gadgets. How true is this, Dr. Glenn? What should our viewers do? Kasi unavoidable kung work from home that they're in front of their laptop or gadgets.
Blue light din naman kasi when you go out, sun, it's helpful then. It makes us alert. Or I don't know. But for gadgets, more on eye strain kasi siya. So for eye strain, what people can do, usually they have Zoom meetings, they have meetings online, they're playing with their gadgets, YouTube, mga ganon. What they can do is they can rest their eyes. So papasok ulit tayo dun sa 2020, no? Every 20 minutes, you rest for 20 seconds by looking 20 feet away.
Now let's also talk about something that may be common during this time, ang hordeolum, also known as a sty, or in Tagalog, kulite. So how does this happen, Dr. Glenn? What are the risk factors para magkaroon ng kulite sa mata? How serious of a condition is this? Pwede ba itong gamutin sa bahay? Because a lot of people now are wary again in going to the hospital for treatment.
Actually, marami rin kulite. So for kulite, there are pores dun sa mata natin, sa pilik mata natin, na gets blocked, then gets infected. So para siyang pimple pero sa mata. No? So for treatment naman nun, usually we give antibiotic ointments and ask the patients to do warm compress, and if ever, we can also do bleed hygiene for the patients. It really depends. Pag malaki na, sobrang laki, we also give them, parang if there's another, parang nagkakaroon ng pre-septal cellulitis or yung infection na mas grabe, we give oral antibiotics din.
So marami tayong napag-usapan with regards to our eye, and we will continue to talk about that later on the show. But just as important is our eyes, our ears, nose, and throat are also vital for our everyday care. When we return, we'll talk about how to properly care for them. Where you connect into healthcare, you're watching MedTalk Health Talk.
SMC, San Miguel Corporation. Bisag unsang industriya ang sudlan niini, tinguha sa SMC ang pag-uswag o paglambo sa mga Pilipino. Karon, gikan sa SMC, aniya na ang SMC Davao Cement. SMC Davao Cement, gama sa Davao para sa Mindanao. SMC Davao Cement, ato ni Bay.
Libreng tambal ug hospital. Trabaho tabang sa mga gakinahanglan.
May nagawa na, may magkagawa pa. Sino ka pa? Only Binay.
Para senador.
Numero 11 sa balota.
Iboto Binay for Senator.
Political ad paid for and by Una, 117 Rada Street, Makati.
Protektahi ang imong mga mata batok sa delikado ug makadaot nga ultraviolet nga silaw sa adlaw ug uban pa. Pinaagi sa pagsulob og eksakto nga prescription sa antiyohos o antipara. Likay ang mga simptomas sama sa hanap nga pananaw sa layo o duol nga basahon, sakit sa ulo ug uban pa nga makaapekto sa atong kahimsog nga ang hinungdan depekto sa atong mga mata. Alang sa kumpleto nga primary eye care, contact lenses, fashion eyewear, computer eyeglasses, sunglasses, accessories ug uban pa, adto kita sa AG Buñuel Optical Clinic. Ang AG Buñuel Optical Clinic nagpahinumdum kanato nga ang kahimsog sa atong mga mata usa ka prioridad nga angay ipa-check up kausa matag tuig aron pagsiguro nga luwas kita sa piligrong mga sakit. Pinaagi sa lisensyado og qualified optometrists nga maoy mo prescribe sa eksaktong kagamitan og kung primary eye care ang paghisgutan. Duaw lang silang buhatan sa 3636 sa Nicolas Street, Surigao City ug adunay ilang extension office sa Aurelianida Street, Cantilan, Surigao del Sur. Ayaw kalimti higala. AG Buñuel Optical Clinic.
Ang AG Buñuel Optical Clinic doon na branch dito sa lungsod sa Dapa sa may Lupis Haina Street, Poblasyon Dapa, Surigao del Norte.
Ang AG Buñuel Optical Clinic dinhi sa syudad ng Surigao. No transfer na sa bagong location sa Nicolas Street, Ragyahapon, tapad sa Garcia Hotel at Bang sa Unicity.
Ako po si Gringo Nasa. Itinatag natin ang school feeding program. Palalawakin natin ito upang ang pagkain para sa feeding program ay magmumula sa produkto ng ating magsasaka na may garantiyang bibilhin ng ating gobyerno. Automatic na pagbaba ng buwis sa langis at pagsugpo sa smuggling ay ating ipatutupad. Self-sufficiency sa bawat bayan ang magbibigay ng trabaho para sa lahat. Gringo Nasan po, number 33 sa Senado.
Political ads paid for by Gringo Nasan, 901 Paragon Plaza, Mandaluyong City.
Ang Riverside Parts Master Incorporated na sa ilang bagong location sa Dalan, Burgos ning atong syudad. Mahimo niyong tawagan sa telephone number 231-7478 or 826-3663. Mga produkto nga inyong mapalit, genuine, Makita Power Tools sama sa planer, drill, grinder, Triton paints, construction supplies, angle bars, flat bars, GI pipes, automotive spare parts, Firefly electrical devices sama sa switches, bulbs ug outlets. Adto ang Riverside Parts Master Incorporated sa ilang bagong pwesto sa Dalan, Burgos ning syudad. Makahangyo ka o makabarato pagyod diha sa Riverside Parts Master Incorporated.
Sipon plus baradong ilong na may kasamang pananakit ng ulo? Pre, ba't ka nagtitiis? Kung meron namang Calabo Premium Rub. Calabo Premium Rub, isang pahid lang, nanunuot ang sarap sa pakiramdam sa ulo, ilong at sarap sa may ginhawa. Tandaan, basta sipon na may kasamang sakit ng ulo at baradong ilong, magpahid lang ng Calabo Premium Rub. Mabisa, kaya sigurado. Gawa ng Jesser Marketing, mabibili na ngayon sa mga butiga. Ang kapinghot sa ilong nga imong giantos, hasol kaayo kini, hilabi na kung apilan mong pagsipon nga lisod tang tangon. Sulay higala ang gahom sa Calabo Premium Rub. Ipahid palibot sa imong ilong aron ang gahom sa Calabo Extract inubanan sa malunggay and virgin coconut oil manuhot-suhot kini. Calabo Premium Rub, ang sulbad sa pinghot nga ilong. Calabo Premium Rub is a quality product of Jesser Marketing.
PG Party List, kasangga mo, balot 108 iboto. PG Party List, boses natin sa Kongreso. PG Party List, kasangga mo, balot 108 iboto. PG Party List, basic goods. Atin to, let's all vote mga kapatid po. PG Party List, PG
BG stands for Basic Goods sa Balota 108. Kabuhayan pag-asenso para sa lahat. This is our goal and our advocacy. BG Party List for you and me. BG Party List, kasangga mo, balot 108 iboto. BG Party List, boses natin sa Kongreso. BG Party List, kasangga mo, balot 108 iboto. BG Party List, basic good. Atin to, pagkaisa ng marig ang mga hinaing. Young and active leaders sa Kongreso, ang boses natin. Tandaan at iboto, balota 108. To build and realize the projects we dreamed of. BG Party List, vote 108 na. BG Party List, kasangga mo, balot 108 iboto. BG Party List, boses natin sa Kongreso. BG Party List, kasangga mo, balot 108 iboto. BG Party List, basic good. Atin to, BG Party List, atin to.
This is a paid advertisement paid for by Donnie Q. Tampan, 599 Narciso Street, Surigao City.
RPN Radio Philippines Network. Radyo Ronda DXKS Surigao. Member, kapisanan ng mga broadcaster ng Pilipinas.
Proper ear care is more than just hygiene. Safety from noise and injury is important as well. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez and you're watching MedTalk Health Talk. We're together in health. Learning how to properly clean the ears, all of these are good when it comes to our care of our ears. But let's first talk about hygiene. Cotton buds, any sharp-pointed object should not be used to clean the ears as they may injure not just the ear canal but the vital organs further down like your eardrum. From top to bottom, let's start first with the ears. Paano ba ang tamang paraan ng paglinis ng tenga?
Wax is a very protective part of our body that protects us from infection. It gives moisture to our ear canal. Kaya hindi ko talaga rin ina-advise that we clean it every day. What I usually advise to my patients is you can use, after taking a bath, you can use your towel. Just clean the outer part of your ear. Wipe it clean. Then basically that's it. But syempre mga Filipinos, they're very malinis, hygienic. So may mga pasyente pa rin that would really ask, Doc, how often can we use cotton buds? So usually I would tell them, sige, you can use your cotton buds at least minimum of once a week, but just the outer ear canal. Kasi usually naman yung wax mo is being produced at the outer part of the ear. The tendency kasi if we push it masyado sa loob, papasok masyado yung wax, then it would cause hearing problem naman sa patients.
Let's talk about hearing loss naman. This is something that is very prevalent now, especially habang tumatanda. It is not uncommon na humina ang pandinig ng mga seniors natin o mga loved ones natin na mga nakatatanda. But a lot of people may not be aware of this. So what are some of the red flags kaya, Dr. Paulo? What are some of the cues that a hearing exam may be needed for hearing loss?
So usually for my patients, ang mas magandang tanongin dyan is yung kasama actually, no? Not really the patient, because the patient themselves will not notice na mahina yung pandinig nila. Ang makakapuna nun is yung mga kasama sa bahay. The relatives or yung companion would tell us na, Doc, yung pong pasyenteng yan, lagi po niyang pinapaulit-ulit yung sinasabi namin, or kunyari, katanungin namin, iba yung sinasabi, iba sinasagot, or they would tell us, ulitin mo nga yung sinasabi mo. 1. Number 2, volume ng TV. Minsan napakalakas na ng volume ng TV na akala ng patient normal na yon. So better ask the companion rather than the patient, kasi patients would not notice it eh. Mas madalas the companion will notice na, hina pala yung pandinig. Talagang tingi ka na.
Now let's move on to the nose. Especially now, a lot of people are scared of COVID. Anything that they feel, any disturbance in their nose, nasal congestion, rhinitis, or yung runny nose, they're very anxious. How can our viewers spot whether this is caused by an allergic entity or this could probably be COVID?
The problem right now is that we really cannot differentiate whether it is allergic or viral infection or COVID. So for now, because of the current surge of COVID infection, what I would usually recommend my patient is still to get tested. That is the number one rule when it comes kapag runny nose. Kasi the only way that you can differentiate if it is viral or COVID versus non-COVID is through testing. Mahirap talagang makipagsapalaran. Though by history alone, some patients would tell me na, Doc, talagang even before COVID, I have runny nose already, frequent sneezing and itchiness. Now, syempre, aside from nasal congestion alone, patient would also complain of fever, cough. Yun, syempre, medyo magdodoble ingat ka na, lalo na kapag ka ganon.
Anong first aid ng pagdudugo ng ilong or ang epistaxis? Madalas mangyayari ito, especially sa mga bata.
So usually pagka may mga epistaxis or balingoy-ngoy in Tagalog, no, what I usually tell my patients is number one, do not panic. Number two, try, kasi yung iba, ang ginagawa natin, we try to tilt our heads up, no? So sinasabi ko, huwag niyong itataas or titingala yung ulo. Try to bring them down, then just put digital pressure, no? Dun sa ilong. Try to press it at least around 5 to 10 minutes until yung bleeding would stop. If there is persistence of bleeding at lumalabas na pati sa bibig, just let them spit it out. Then you can put cold compress, ice compress, either sa head part or dito sa may batok na part. That is okay also.
Aside from that, also from the nose, let's go further down sa throat. Minsan kasama ng mga nasal symptoms yan ay ang sore throat or masakit lumunok. That's also another cause for anxiety when it comes to COVID. Dr. Paulo, when it comes to these changes, explain to our viewers what they should do if they lose their voice. What disease entities could these lead to?
There are some cases also that I had na they would complain of hoarseness or napaos ang boses nila. Ang tawag natin dyan is laryngitis, no? But for shorter duration, what we call is acute laryngitis. And for those cases, ang importante is voice rest, no? If magkaroon ka ng paos ng boses, pahinga lang. Talagang ipahinga yung boses and then try to hydrate. Drink a lot of fluids. Then try to consult if there is persistence of this hoarseness for more than a week time accompanied by soreness, pananakit na ng lalamunan, then please try to consult your healthcare professional.
When it comes to choking naman, anong magandang first aid?
Number one, syempre yung response ng patient. No? There's what we call Heimlich maneuver. No? But ang ginagawa natin, kunyari biglang na-choke yung pasyente, you pupunta kayo sa likod ng pasyente, then you wrap around dun sa ibabaw ng tiyan, above the belly, yung belly button, then you put your fist, ibilog din sa likod ito, then try to push it up towards the chest area until maisuka ng pasyente or mailabas niya yung foreign object doon sa bibig.
There are several eye, ear, nose, and throat conditions that affect us Filipinos. When we return, we'll talk about good preventive measures for a good overall health, because your health is our mission. This is MedTalk Health Talk. We'll be right back.
SMC, San Miguel Corporation. Bisag unsang industriya ang sudlan niini, tinguha sa SMC ang pag-uswag o paglambo sa mga Pilipino. Karon, gikan sa SMC, aniya na ang SMC Davao Cement. SMC Davao Cement, gama sa Davao para sa Mindanao. SMC Davao Cement, ato ni Bay.
Ako po si Gringo Nasa. Itinatag natin ang school feeding program. Palalawakin natin ito upang ang pagkain para sa feeding program ay magmumula sa produkto ng ating magsasaka na may garantiyang bibilhin ng ating gobyerno. Automatic na pagbaba ng buwis sa langis at pagsugpo sa smuggling ay ating ipatutupad. Self-sufficiency sa bawat bayan ang magbibigay ng trabaho para sa lahat. Gringo Nasan po, number 33 sa Senado.
Political aris paid for by Ringo Nasa, 901 Paragon Plaza, Mandaluyong City.
Maayong balita sa tanan sa atong panginahanglan sa panimalay, mga gamit, ingon man mga dekorasyon, pwede na natong mapalit diha sa Wellington Bazaar. Anausab sa Wellington Bazaar ang mga bestidahon, karsunison, plain t-shirt, plastic chair, floor mat, mantel, banig, folding bed, habol, mosketero, trapal, lideret, basketball, stuffed toys ug mga dulaan sa bata. Ang Wellington Bazaar ana magalagad kanato sa Dalan Kaimo ning Dakbayan sa Surigao. Wellington Bazaar, gikan sa mga kawani ug tigdumala sa Wellington Bazaar. Mayong adlaw alang kaninyo. Wellington Bazaar, sukyon ta sa kanunay.
Ay, kasakit kit sa ako ang mga mata. Uy, labad pagyud kay ako ang ulo. Murag kog malipong ba? Unya, murag limtanon pagyud ko. Unsaon man ni uy?
Naa na gyud kay problema, miss. Ha? Tanawa gud nagsakay ka sa tricycle, wala kay suot bra. Para masolba na imo problema. Ha, pag inom man Lutein Plus.
Unsa? Lutein Plus? Asa man na nimo gikan?
Ako man ninadunggan sa radyo, miss. Mao nga kapalit ko naan pagpangandam ba.
Sige, salamat kayo ha. Magpalit dayon ko og Lutein Plus.
The award-winning supplements from Clean Green, New Zealand Omega Plus ang support sa heart and blood system. Ang Lutein Plus, 13 ka mga ingredients, lakip ng vitamins A and C. Dili lamang kung maradyaw sa itong pananaw, nagsuporta sa binis sa ito intero lawas. Ning panahon nga jari kita kuman sa COVID-19 pandemic, kinahanglan magpabilin kitang himsog inom sa Lutein Plus, Omega Plus, and Primrose Plus Soft Gel. Inintanan available din sa New Family Drug, Palma Drug, sa Aquarian Pharmacy.
Kalabo with garlic plus lemongrass and turmeric. Maayo kini alang sa mga naganto sa high blood. Kung perming kasakit ang imong tangkugo, kung masobraan ka og kaon sa mga lamiang pagkaon, basig ning tukar na ang imong high blood. Pag tumarhigala og kalabo with garlic plus lemongrass and turmeric. Usa ka capsule bago mo gaon aron siguradong protektado kang kanunay. Kalabo with garlic plus lemongrass and turmeric. Masaligan og siguradong epektibo batok sa high blood. Kalabo with garlic plus lemongrass and turmeric. Kalabo with garlic plus lemongrass and turmeric is a quality product of Jester Marketing.
PG Party List, kasangga mo, balot 108 iboto. PG Party List, boses natin sa Kongreso. PG Party List, kasangga mo, balot 108 iboto. PG Party List, basic good. Ating to, let's all vote mga kapatid po. PG Party List, PG stands for basic goods sa balota 108. Kabuhayan pag-asenso para sa lahat. This is our goal and our advocacy. PG Party List for you and me. PG Party List, kasangga mo, balot 108 iboto. PG Party List, boses natin sa Kongreso. PG Party List, kasangga mo, balot 108 iboto. PG Party List, basic good. Atin to, pagkaisa ng marinig ang mga hinaing. Young and active leaders sa Kongreso, ang boses natin. Tandaan at iboto, balota 108. To build and realize the projects we dreamed of. PG Party List, vote 108 na. PG Party List, kasangga mo, balot 108 iboto. PG Party List, boses natin sa Kongreso. PG Party List, kasangga mo, balot 108 iboto. PG Party List, basic good. Atin to, PG Party List, atin to.
This is a paid advertisement paid for by Donnie Q Tampan, 599 Narciso Street, Surigao City.
RPN Radio Philippines Network, Radyo Ronda DXKS Surigao, member kapisanan ng mga broadcaster ng Pilipinas.
Physicians always follow the rule that prevention is always better than cure. Now, for our eyes, our ears, nose, and throat, having a regular checkup is always good to do. Now, the question is, how often should we do this and where can we go? For an eye exam, Dr. Glenn, gaano kadalas ba dapat ito? Should people go to their ophthalmologist kapag meron lang sila nararamdaman, or pwede ba itong something regular na ginagawa? And if so, how often?
Usually, we advise our patients at least an annual ophthalmic consult, at least once a year, no? For kids na kailangan magpalit ng eyeglasses, usually every 6 months, we ask them to come to us. But definitely, if may nararamdaman sila, they need to go to an ophthalmologist para makapag-consulta sila ng mas maayos.
Now, Dr. Paolo, when it comes to ENT, ear, nose, throat, regular exams, gaano kadalas ang magandang interval nito? Especially when it gets a parang full battery of tests with regards to our ears, our nose, and our throat.
There's no really specific time frame on when to really check it. But ideally for adults, ang tawag natin doon pag matatanda na humihina ang pandinig is what we call presbycusis. And I usually tell them that it would really happen because parang ng tao, parang sasakyan as we grow old, may mga parte rin talaga ng katawan na pumapalya, and that's part of the ears. Some patients also who are exposed to loud noises, like patients who are working as seafarers, na exposed din talaga sa loud noises, or those who are mga blue-collar jobs, yung mga nagtidrill, yung mga sa road works. Those are those patients na mas maganda talagang mabantayan yung hearing problems nila or yung hearing test nila. Now, in terms of hearing testing, wala rin talagang specific guidelines on when to do it. Usually, when patients would come to our clinics, they would complain of these hearing problems, and then that's the time we would recommend doing the hearing test. Now, once the hearing test would show that there is really hearing problem or decrease in hearing, doon tayo magmo-monitor probably. At least ako, I would tell them we monitor it annually for those patients na early onset at may mga trabaho. But for those older patients who would require hearing aids already, then probably every 2 to 3 years of hearing test monitoring for it.
Now, Dr. Glenn, pagdating naman sa mata, anong mga pagkain ang known na masustansya para sa mata, or vitamins for that matter?
So usually, we tell our patients to eat green leafy vegetables, more green leafy vegetables lang naman. And we advise them na have their regular off-talk consult talaga. So we know if there are any concerns or problems, because like for error of refraction, sometimes hindi naman nila nakikita yan eh. So minsan yung mga bata, lalo na for kids, magko-complain na lang yan, malabo vision niya or sa school. Right now, because of the Zoom, mas less nilang complain yung hindi nila makita yung blackboard, di ba? So usually, for now, we advise them pag nagko-complain yung bata or nag-squint yung bata to look at objects, then dalhin nila sa OFTA para mabigyan natin ng tamang reseta for the glasses.
Now, this discussion was indeed very helpful, and I'm sure our viewers learned a lot from our guests. So thank you very much, ophthalmologist Dr. Glenn Angeles and ENT head and neck surgeon Dr. Paolo Catindig. Maraming salamat sa inyo. Each of our senses play an important role by making our lives amazing when they work together. So it's important that we protect these organs. Before making any drastic changes to your health or undergoing treatment, always make sure to consult your doctor first. We want to be your partner for a lifetime of good health. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez, and this is MedTalk Health Talk.